Cheesehead TV brings you two guys who like to think they know something about football.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Packer Transplants Live. I am Aaron Nagler, and joining me, as always, is Mr. Corey Behnke, my partner here at Cheesehead TV. We are coming to you live from New York City and across the street from Lambeau in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and we are ready to talk some Packers. What do we have on tap today, Corey?
Today, we discuss the nail-biter against the Texans, look at the budding partnership between Matt Lafleur and Jeff Hafley, and look ahead to a showdown with the Jaguars. But right now, it's time for the good, the bad, and the ugly. We got the good. We got
Daniel Whelan.
We got the bad. We got
Lucas Van Ness.
We got the ugly. We got
Jordan Love's second interception. That first one, kind of get it. They get paid too. Good play by the corner. That second one, yikes. That's some ugly stuff that you got to get out of the system. How you doing, Corey Behnke?
I'm good. Lots going on. Public market groundbreaking happened yesterday. Looks like the city council, we're going to talk about it, is talking about the lease negotiations.
They are indeed.
So many things happening. What a crazy Sunday. Honestly, I think, one of the craziest Sundays I've ever had in my whole entire life.
In your whole entire life? Because you've had some crazy Sundays, sir.
Yes. Okay. It just was one of those days where you wake up 7 a.m., you're ready to go. Houses unite at 8. Then all of a sudden, 9:30, there's 45 people in my house. Just like that.
Just like that.
The fireworks go off, and next thing I know, the fireworks are going off an hour before.
Right?
So then I yell at everybody in my house, like, hey, if you're going in the game, get the fuck out. And then I myself went to the game. I got to hang out in a Packer suite like a baller, which, I mean, come on. That was really nice.
That's so cool.
And then it's just so weird to just walk out of the stadium at halftime, then come back and do the show, and then I get into the show, and it was just crazy. And then wins. Everybody loves to stay on a nooner. If we win on a nooner.
Right.
The difference between winning and losing on a nooner, it's just so funny. Like
well,
on a 7 o'clock
stretches out
or a 4 o'clock,
you know?
Yeah,
so
exactly. You're like,
so
wow,
good.
it's only 3 o'clock, 3:30.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
And
I can stay
the Packers
for another
won.
beer.
Let's go.
I think I made like 100 old fashions. Seriously, I made at least 50 or 60 old fashions. At least 20 or 30 Bloody Marys, and I did the peanut butter and chocolate shots because they were requested.
Yes.
So
there you go.
Yeah, a lot of drinking.
Speaking of,
I didn't do any drinking until I saw you, pretty much.
Well, that's par for the course. But speaking of your Bloody Marys, I put it out there. I asked AJ Dillon on Care of the G Radio yesterday afternoon. I said, you can't be talking about Bloody Marys as a blanket statement until you've had Corey Behnke's Bloody Mary. And he said he's down to do it. He said he's down to come over.
Oh, okay, cool.
Do a little.
Nice.
He said, like, I'll do a live kind of review. And I said, okay, let's not make it live in case, like, he doesn't like it. And then we have that live. We don't need that. No one needs that in their life. But he said he's totally down to do it. So that'll be fun. It'll be a good time. Speaking of good times, let's get to the hotness. Oh, yeah. It's time for the hotness. Oh, baby. There was so much to choose from this week. And I will say, I think most weeks, this probably would have been Tucker Kraft's touchdown, both the throw and the catch. It was just an amazing play. Yeah. I've seen a lot about it on social media over the course of the last 2 days, but I'm going with there were two. One of Eric Wilson's sacks, specifically the second one, which I found to be incredible because of the way they just took advantage of the Texans and their protection and got Wilson free for a second time. Let's take a look here. You see here on the wide how you've got a safety down in the box, right? And now he's bailing at the last second. you look in the middle, there's this wave of white. How does he get through there? Watch Cooper in particular, 56 there on the left. He not only goes after the center, he takes the running back with him because the back is taught work inside out, right? The first guy through, he thinks, oh, I got to get him. He doesn't realize he's going to just legit get the center out of there to root him out. It takes two guys with him, and then Wilson just shoots through for a clean, easy sack. I mean, it's one of the easiest sacks he'll probably ever have, or any player would ever have. That is the kind of thing we saw all day long from Hafley. You just love to see it. That is hotness, ladies and gentlemen. Speaking of Hafley, Corey, I did want to just talk a little bit about, right here at the top, about Matt Lafleur and Jeff Hafley and this dynamic duo that could be turning into something. You know, when you hire a defensive coordinator as an offensive coach, you're like obviously trying to find your counterpart, right? Now, we know Lafleur was handed Mike Pettin. You know, no one will say like he was forced to keep him, but it was strongly suggested, we really want you to keep Mike Pettin as your defensive coordinator, right? And then, of course, moved on from that. The Joe Barry experiment for 3 years, that clearly didn't work. Matt Lafleur had to get this hire right. And I'm not saying it's over, right? Like this is 100% a home run hire. But I tell you what, it is certainly trending that way, especially when you look at the way Hafley has been able to kind of manipulate his defense dependent on who they're facing, almost the same way as Lafleur has been as far as getting in his bag playbook-wise against defensive opponents. This could be the hot dynamic duo we've been waiting for in Green Bay, Wisconsin. It's early days.
I'm here
it's
for
early
it.
days.
I'm here for it. I think it's a little early, but yeah.
It is a little early.
But I mean, look, C.J. Stroud, 86 yards, like the way they just, they took a guy.
Absurd.
I mean, it is. It kind of is like the defense, the play of the defense the last 2 weeks has been pretty stellar. So, I would
especially on a day where, and we'll talk about this, but the offense didn't have its A game, right? Didn't have its fastball. No. Certainly had a lot of hiccups along the way. To have the defense able to pick up the offense, especially for almost an entire half, which like they did in the second half on Sunday. Exciting stuff. Like you say, though, early days, definitely early days. But I'm telling you, man, this is going to be exciting to watch as it continues to blossom. Speaking of exciting, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I've already had a couple people. We had a couple people in the chat yesterday talk about it. I had a bunch of people email me about this because I asked you guys to send me your lineups on Prize Picks. Ladies and gentlemen, I had a gentleman, he bit down the Cheesehead TV code, got the $5 lineup, and he got $50 instantly and turned that into $200 almost like 2 lineups later. That's what I'm talking about, people. Prize Picks is daily fantasy sports made easy. You just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, place your entry. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Go to prizepicks.com. Use code CHTV. Spend $5 on lineups. Get $50 instantly. And I hear you out there. Is it available in Wisconsin? Yes, it's available in Wisconsin along with 42 other states and Washington, D.C. I'm telling you, I'm doing picks for every marquee game. Every primetime game. I did it Monday night. I'm going to do it Thursday night. Do it every Sunday for the Packers game. Let me know. Download the app. Use code CHTV. Get on board. It's a ton of fun. I've already got people sending me their lineups. I want to see your lineups. Do it, people.
Have you been any good? I meant to ask you in the game. Are you like,
man? I was so close on Monday night. I was so close on the Packers game. I've come 3 out of 4 3 times. It's always that last one that's kind of tripped me up.
So you haven't won anything yet?
I did win initially. I'm on a bad streak right now. But I've been pretty good. Just can't get that 4th one in. Can't quite get that 4th one. But I'm going to do it this week.
So it would be fair to say that you're the Aaron Rodgers of Prize Picks?
Damn. We'll talk about that a little later in the program. Let's get to some Packers news, shall we? Let's get to some Packers news, of which there is a ton. Starting with Jonathan Ford, who this dude, they're just batting him around like a piñata. Signed to the 53-man roster, then released. He is currently on waivers. He was released today after being signed to the 53-man roster because he had been practicing during his 21-day window. And if they didn't put him on the 53-man roster, they would have had to end his season on IR. They didn't want to do that, but clearly they're not ready to put him on the 53. So they put him on the 53 and then released him. The flip side of that is the Packers released long snapper Matt Orzik, but then today brought him back. And I know this sounds convoluted, and it kind of is, but it does make sense. The Packers also released fullback Andrew Beck from the practice squad because they had called him up 3 weeks in a row. They had to either release him or put him on the 53. They have opted for release. I think Fitzpatrick, the tight end they got off the Atlanta practice squad, will most likely be the next man up as far as what they ask their fullback types to do. I would look for him to get involved, hopefully starting this week. Some really positive news on the practicing front. Devontae Wyatt was on the practice field today for the first time since suffering that ankle injury down in Tennessee. Love getting the update that he's at least practicing. Who knows? We'll see. Still in a limited capacity. I'd probably be surprised if he's a go this week in Jacksonville. Hopefully, maybe next week against Detroit. We'll see how that transpires. Some rather unfortunate news on the injury front. Quay Walker remains in concussion protocol. We saw that somewhat scary moment when he was fencing after that hit in the Texans game. So not a participant, obviously, in practice, still in the concussion protocol. We'll see how that transpires over the week. And then, Corey, I know you've been very busy today at LiveX, living your life and, marshaling your forces and, controlling your empire. But Robert Salah attending Packers practice set Twitter ablaze.
I actually listened to Matt's press conference today, so you'll be proud of me.
Very good. So you know that he being Robert Salah, is in Green Bay through Thursday to help on the offensive side of the ball, which is something they've done before. Aubrey Pleasant a few years ago, who had, come from Detroit as a defensive coach, came to Green Bay, was helping on offense, and then now is on the defensive staff in LA with the Rams. I love this idea. I love the concept of we've got a really brilliant defensive mind, and Salah is a brilliant defensive mind. Clearly, one of Matt's best, if not his literal best friend in the whole world, one of the greatest NFL defensive minds available without a job. Come on in, take a look at our offense, and talk about what you're seeing and how you would go about defending it, where you think the weaknesses are, how you might counter the types of things I would do as a defensive coach, etc. Just continue a dialogue. Essentially, watch tape and talk about what you're seeing. I love this. I love this move. I think it's so smart, and I love that Salah's up for it. It's great.
It's interesting that Matt did weigh in that he thought that it was a bad decision by Woody Johnson to fire Robert Salah. He did say it was kind of a toss aside, but to me is the real news there. An NFL coach weighing in on an owner's decision to fire a coach. I mean, obviously, I'm not surprised.
His best friend.
It is kind of
Corey. If someone fired you as their head coach, I'd weigh in. You know what I'm saying? I'd say it was a mistake.
Well, if here's the thing, if Doug Gottlieb does well at UWGB men's basketball, there's a case to be made for you to be a consultant for the Green Bay Packers. So it's
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Because I could do the media thing on the side, just like Doug is. I can see that.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
I mean, we have live.
Would you want to be an offensive? Would you want to be on the offensive side, the defensive side, or special teams to start?
Obviously, I'd be on the offensive side. Although I might be a hype man on the defensive side. I might be a hype man. I
didn't know what the answer would be. I actually didn't know what your answer.
Did you really?
So
no,
I didn't
you don't think
see
so?
It was no.
No, that's definitely on the offensive side. Although we do have a recording of Matt Lafleur offering me a position on staff. That happened right here on this program. This program that he'll never appear on again, probably because he did that.
I think he was.
Finally,
I think he was joking.
Maybe. Finally. Happening, I think, actually, Corey, what's funny is this is legit about to happen right now, live as we're speaking. The Green Bay City Council has called a press conference for 4:15 Central, which is literally a minute from now, to discuss the ongoing friction between the city and the Green Bay Packers about the ongoing lease negotiations. It sounds like essentially they're coming to the mayor's defense. That's kind of how
Here's
I read
the thing.
Robert's piece.
Here's a couple things I do want to expand on this. And yes, I do agree with you. Here's what's crazy. Chris Weary, who is the alderman for this neighborhood, not just the Lombardi neighborhood, but a lot of the West Side. He and the mayor do not see eye to eye on anything, and as a matter of fact, he was one of the proponents for suing the mayor over the surveillance cameras that were in city council. Not to get too involved, for city hall,
really
blah, blah,
in the
blah.
weeds,
but those
right.
two. But
Right.
the thing to know is that I literally I think WBAY or Fox 11, they both did a story on the lease negotiations, and they both got a quote from Chris Weary and from the city council, basically backing the mayor on all the lease negotiations. So the fact that literally one of the city council members, who I don't think I'm speaking out of turn to say is, the least like the mayor,
Right.
if that's the nice way to say that,
Totally get it.
actually
Totally
sticking
get
up
it.
for him. And I do.
Right.
The second thing that I want to say is, it's very interesting, the point of view from people who live here in Green Bay versus the point of view of other people I've talked to from Wisconsin, and then the point of view outside of the state. Very, very different. Talked to some people this weekend, and it's interesting. I will say, and having been somebody who's lived outside of the state, lived in New York for a long time. I mean, this show is called Packer Transplants, right? We should probably change the show
for that very reason.
But it's too late.
But it's too late. It's too embedded now.
Yeah, it's too late. It's too yeah. But as the sun, I tried to get this.
Yeah, it's another day of the sun. Yep. You're fighting the good fight.
Another day, another sun.
We need to change the start time of this show. I
like Green Bay Packers behind me, though. But what I was going to say is I talked to a good buddy of mine who lives in New York, and the perspective, which I understand why the Packers are doing this. I don't understand why the Packers are doing it, but I understand how using the press could be to their advantage.
Right.
Or one of the only things they have, because obviously a lot of Packer fans, the way they think about Green Bay is, well, yeah, certainly Green Bay wouldn't be Green Bay if it didn't have the Packers, and I totally agree with that. But at the same time, it's just funny, the perspective of people from other municipalities when Green Bay is kind of its own weird thing. Like the relationship between the Packers and the city and the stadium district, all these things, right? They have existed uniquely for over 100 years. So I really don't think there's anything you can compare it to. And so I do think that's important.
It's a seriously unique situation, yes.
Yeah, 1,000%. You can have opinions, but there's nothing I had somebody go, yeah, the Packers are it's a genius move, and I'm like, okay, well, what if I told you do, and then they go, right. Oh, really? And I'm like, yeah, you're not, exactly. You don't know these things, bro,
right.
What?
No.
Yeah, anyway,
yeah, there's a lot of levels here, a lot of levels.
There's
a lot of levels
to
the Packers offense, and that's what we're going to talk about next. See how I did that? See how I kept it, and I just went right back on the script and went to football. Josh Jacobs' workload should not be surprising. I know we get frustrated in the moment, much like we did when Aaron Jones was in town, because he's the marquee guy and we want him to get the ball and all of that. But, man, I just specifically remember having Packers Daily chats during the summer and talking to people at meetups and being like, I want Josh Jacobs to get 20, 25 carries a game. That's me, because I'm a caveman, right? But we live in 2024, and if you followed Matt Lafleur's history at all as a play caller, as a game planner, as a designer, etc., man, going back to his time in his 1 year in Tennessee with Derrick Henry in the backfield, he didn't feed Derrick Henry that way. He certainly didn't feed Aaron Jones that way, and he's not feeding Josh Jacobs that way. Now, you can quibble with it, you can get upset about it, and I understand it. Like I said, especially in the games, I get frustrated with why isn't he getting more carries? But you pull back and you do look at the fact that it's a very long season. And even with that said, Jacobs is still third in the league as far as highest number of carries. So the guy is getting the rock, but they manage his workload. And ultimately that is smart. It is frustrating in the moment, but it is smart.
Wow, I can't believe we're 5-2, and you're saying it's smart that we are eating our vegetables the way we're eating them.
We're eating our vegetables. No question about it. No doubt. I loved me some asparagus on Sunday. It was good stuff. No doubt. Although, you know what was not good?
Have you ever even eaten asparagus? I'm pretty sure that I've seen you not eat the asparagus on your plate.
I love asparagus. I love asparagus. No. Well, asparagus, especially with my steak.
Maybe I was thinking of broccoli.
Get a little butter on there. Oh, so good. A little salt, pepper. Come on now. Oh, now you're getting me hungry. The Packers couldn't find an offensive
sauce on it.
Well, you got to. Packers couldn't find an offensive rhythm versus the Texans to save their life. And that's, going to happen every once in a while, especially going up against one of the best defensive coaches and day-of-game play callers in D'Amico Ryans. We all saw Lafleur at the end of that game get, kind of pull off his headset in frustration. Very happy the game is over because D'Amico, as he said in the post-game press conference, they were kicking our ass defensively. And they did. Sometimes you got to tip your cap, right? There's zero doubt in my mind that Matt would relish the opportunity to go up against that defense again and try to do a few different things. But sometimes it's just not your day, and it was certainly not Lafleur's day or the offense's day in general against a really good Texans defense. I know what was so funny, Corey, like during the watch party was I kept seeing people, and even the day after, people talk about, the Texans were down so many guys. Like they had lots of injuries. Like, yes, this is true, but there's still A, a bunch of NFL talent on that roster, and B, D'Amico Ryans is really fucking good. Like they're not, and the pass rushers were still healthy, and that's what gave the Packers the most problems. It's like, man, at some point you got to recognize you're playing a really good team. These are the things that happen. Like they took advantage of the Packers at times on defense, and thankfully, complimentary football, the Packers defense rose to the occasion. But yeah, finding that offensive rhythm, we often talk about that with Jordan Love in the quarterback position, but it was just wholesale on the offensive side of the ball. They really couldn't. They hit some plays. They had some moments, but overall, they could not find a rhythm to save their life. But you know what they could find? Romeo Doubs just caught another slam.
Yeah, he did.
How many times have you and
I
talked about
a lot?
Dude,
they went to that well
as they should.
They went to that well at the end again. They were like,
game on the line, right? Do it again. Because here's the thing. When you are out of rhythm, when you can't get in a rhythm, keep it simple, right? Get back to the basics. They ran that slant flat about 10 times. I think Jordan hit Romeo about 6 of those times on that backside slant.
I'm still annoyed, though.
That's the vegetables of the passing game.
Okay. I'm still really annoyed by this play when it was 3rd and 3. And they literally drop back. It's 3rd and 3, and they drop back to pass, and there's no check down option. It's like,
and there's everybody 15 to 20 yards down the field.
Yeah. What was that all about? Was that just like?
That's what I mean. Like sometimes you're not in a rhythm, and Matt's trying to push the ball, etc. You're in the heat of the moment. It is hard to watch at times when that happens. But again. You kind of the game can get away from you as a play caller sometimes. Even Mike Holmgren, who is the greatest play caller I ever watched with my own 2 eyes, like as far as in-game flow and knowing where a game was and how to take advantage of what the defense was doing and making plays work off of other plays that you've already run. He's the greatest ever in that regard that I've ever seen. Even he had games like that, where, God, I just can't, I'm calling the wrong thing at the wrong time. Is a bit of an art to it. Like people want to talk about the breakdowns and the tendencies and the, spreadsheet type stuff as far as like they do this 60% of the time or whatever. And that's all good. That's good information. But there is a bit of an art to it. That's certainly part of the flow, the feel.
Here's where I would like to add to the art is if I need to get 3, can I please have more than one option to get 3? Just somebody.
Here's the other thing. I'm glad you brought that up. Because you have to remember, at the line of scrimmage, Jordan has now a little bit of autonomy, not what Rodgers had, but You don't know. Was there a check down available in the original play where, say, Jordan kept the back in for protection at the line, the line of scrimmage? He sees someone coming and goes, okay, makes a call to keep the back in. You know what I mean? And maybe that was supposed to be the outlet. That's what's so hard, is that you don't know, right? That was like the 3rd and 1 that I got so frustrated at, deep in their own end, where they ran the end around to Jaden Reed that got stuffed and they had to punt.
Yeah.
And I'm frustrated. I'm like, you have King Josh Jacobs. Why are you running this? But if you go back and you watch it, Jordan literally taps his helmet prior to the play, which is usually the sign for can, right? We're going to run the other play. So that would suggest that Jordan was the one who made the call. And
also,
that's why
that Jaden Reed end around 90% of the time gets you a first down. So
would have been there. Yep. But again, they get paid too. That's just a really good play by that linebacker. Like, he makes a great read and a great play. So, sometimes you're going to have those days, which is why you have to throw a slant to Romeo Doubs. I mean, he had a great game.
While we're still on offense, people are asking about Robert Salah. We talked about it in the beginning. But my question about this is, okay, so Robert Salah is making like $20,000 a day from the Jets for like the next 2 years of his life, right? So my question is, besides T&E, right, travel and expenses, what do you think the Packers are paying Robert Salah? I mean, he's double dipping right now, which is great. I love it for the guy.
He could be. I don't know. Maybe he's doing this as a favor to his friend Matt Lafleur.
You think? Well, then he's waiving his fee, which is fine. But you and I both know how agents are, right? They don't allow that.
Right.
If you say I hired someone, right, I have to sign something. So what do you think? $5,000 a day, $10,000 a day, $1,000 a day?
I don't know, man. But it was so funny that you bring that up.
What do you think the going rate is?
Oh, I would probably $5,000 a week.
Like $5,000 a day? Oh,
nah, not a day.
But
I will say,
really?
You notice? Did you notice? Did you notice that Lafleur? Well, this is the Packers; they're cheap. You know this. So when you watch that press conference, Matt Lafleur was asked, I will think about 2 or 3 different ways. Is he on staff? Is he on staff?
Yeah.
Is he a member of staff? Yeah. Matt never really answered that question.
Yeah. But I'm sure, but he's hired. They did say hired, though. They did say hired, so I'm assuming it's some kind of freelance thing. Like, even though he's not on the payroll, but I don't know. I think it's
gonna. I'll let you know, Corey. When I get hired, I'll let you know.
Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah.
I feel like Robert Salah's rate's going to be a little higher than your initial rate, though.
We'll
understand.
You might be onto
something
there,
though.
We'll find. We'll find out. It'll be.
I mean, what a great gig, though. Seriously, like, what a great gig. Like,
dude,
I just got fired, and now I'm gonna go hang out with my buddy and talk football and get paid.
I'm gonna watch fucking film and get paid to do it, and give my opinion on whatever the fuck it is I watch.
And I'm already getting paid, so I could,
Yeah, I'm double dipping. I'll take Woody's check and just bank that. That's my family's vacation money, and then I'm gonna hang out with my buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
Drink beers in Lambeau after hours and talk
his
ball.
Green Bay, that's like per diem. It's like per diem. It's like he's just like, oh yeah. Exactly. Oh, I gotta go, honey. I gotta go work. I gotta go to work. Also, I do think there might be something. I don't know. I just wonder. Like, I think what's exciting about him being here is obviously the relationship with Matt, but is that 100% the reason, or is there something Robert Saleh likes about the Packers that he chose this team to be the one, if he's going to get back into football, just on the rebound? Like, we're his rebound team, bro. We're his rebound team. Right. That's kind of cool.
Well, think about it, too, from his perspective, and I think Matt kind of alluded to this, it's good for Salah to be not only around the Packers, but around an organization where the offense has been pretty damn good over the last couple of years, right? Like, obviously he knows his buddy and knows how good he is as an offensive coach, but there are a lot of other people on staff who he is now working with, whose brains he can pick, whether it's John Dunn, Adam Stenovich, whoever, where he's like talking ball with them every day. So when he goes out and gets his next gig, I doubt is a head coach job, probably defensive coordinator, but if he gets another opportunity at some point as a head coach, now he's got connections to a bunch of different offensive minds who are on staff for a really good offense. That's all good, baby.
So what you're
that's
saying
good stuff.
what you're saying is that he's going to poach our coaches. I don't like this. I don't like where you're
Someday.
going with this.
Someday, probably. I mean, look, Corey, if the Packers keep doing what they're doing on offense, there's no way
they're going to poach all our coaches.
Our coaches are out like the door, dude.
Yeah, it's going to be like Gruden
exactly.
and yeah.
There's no way. How do you look at the Packers and not want what they're cooking? Like that checks in the mail.
The thing about the Packers, though, if you want to replicate the Packers, you need to have patience and you need to think about things long term. And I don't think any owner in the NFL could ever do that.
Well, they don't. No, of course, but they won't. That's their problem once they hire the guy. They're going to want the guy who has like the behind the scenes secret sauce with the Green Bay Packers, and then they hire and they're like, oh wait, this is actual work. Because the guy will go in and be like, well, what we did in Green Bay was XYZ, and the owner will be like, wait a second, I want results right now. That's baked into the sauce, so to speak. Let's talk about the defense. We want to talk about Salah and his help on the offensive side. Man, Hafley, you talk about turning it up, baby. He's playing a numbers game with that pass rush because it's fascinating to watch how many times not only he got to the quarterback, but just affected the quarterback with only 4 guys. Now, it wasn't with a traditional 4-man rush, but again and again and again, he played with the Texans at the line of scrimmage as far as you don't know who's coming. I mean, on the sack and I think this happened in the first half, so you were in the box when it happened, but the sack from McKinney, that's a 4-man rush. Now, it's a safety. It's a safety blitz.
Yeah.
But there are only 4 people coming. That's what I mean. Like, they're sending different people at different times, doing different stuff in coverage. He's playing a numbers game, which, again, and I talked about this on Daily, you got to think. He watched that Vikings tape, and the way Flores really frustrated Stroud, he took it to another level. I mean, Stroud didn't have 100 yards, as you noted earlier. That's in today's game, in 2024.
Dude, he had
literally everything is set up for the offense to succeed.
Yeah, his quarterback rating was trash. I mean, it was trash. I think it was like 36 or something. I don't know.
That is an outstanding job by Jeff Hafley.
That's crazy.
That's a legit talented young NFL quarterback who he completely put in hell throughout an entire game. That doesn't just happen. And one of the ways he did that, along with the numbers game, was moving Rashawn Gary around. I'm just happy to see Rashawn causing havoc, getting involved, being in the quarterback's face. Now, he got a sack, but it was because the right tackle legit tripped over his own feet. Although I will say, Corey, if Rashawn Gary was lined up across from me trying to get after the quarterback, I'd probably trip on my own feet.
Oh, yeah.
But you're an NFL offensive tackle. You're supposed to be a little more nimble than that. But, yeah, but even outside of that, Rashawn – all over not only pre-snap too, but like the way they had him looping around the entire offensive line, and they like legit 3 times flush Stroud out, and there's Rashawn Gary waiting for him, and Stroud had to throw the ball away or at least try an insane, like difficult throw that was never complete. I mean, that's what I want to see more of for Rashawn Gary going forward, and that's why I talk about Hafley, like, continuing to develop. Like, if he continues in this manner, putting guys in the right positions, baby, cooking with gas. And hey, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about Eric Wilson and the day he had. I mean, have a day. I mean, Quay goes down, you hate to see it, but I mean, it's not just the sacks either, right? Like, he had pass defense, he had tackle for loss, and he didn't take a single snap at Mike linebacker the entire week in practice, according to Lafleur.
That's crazy.
You talk about being ready. You talk about being ready when your number is called at a moment's notice. That's an insane job.
I mean, everybody, I think he kind of knew that it could happen, right? Not that Quay would go out
at some point. Yeah, no. That's part of the gig, right? As you're a backup, you got to be ready. And they do, they rep these guys. They repped him specifically all summer at different positions. But man, you haven't practiced. Who knows?
I saw there was a little, speaking of defense, I saw there was a little controversy about how PFF graded out Evan Williams. Like, it was like he gave him a 0 or something.
Tyler, shout out to Tyler Brook, who pointed out, like, make it make sense. Like, I think
that's
his grade was like a 54 or something like that. But by their own accounts, it was like he did this well, he did that well, he did this other thing well, 54. What? like,
why is PFF so stupid?
Well, look,
I feel like they're not even made to do grades. They're just made for
like a loss leader.
Baiting.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. That's
the grades
exactly
are
what
just
they are.
for. The grades are like food for
they
trolls.
Always say yes, and they always say,
"Troll, would you like the grocery store?"
All 32 teams subscribe. Yeah, to your data, not your grades. Like the grades are complete, public-facing nonsense.
If a team is using the grades from PFF, I'm going to take if our team is using anything from PFF that is the subjective part of it and not the objective part of it, I'm going to something bad's going to happen.
No. And hey, look, the Packers are subscribed. They are correct. All 32 teams do use their data. The data, not their grades. Like, how many times did so-and-so line up in the slot? Or third down cut-ups of how many times did you throw from the left hash mark? Or like any number of different kind of things that you can watch and quantify like 100% without subjectiveness. Yeah, PFF is great for that. But, so-and-so got a grade. Get out. It's not worth the pixels it's printed with.
Sons of Lombardi. Here's what's funny. Sons of Lombardi is watching the city council press. So they're actually watching the city council press release. Yeah, we're getting live updates in the chat. And then
there you go.
So you know what? You know what would be really meta is if they did a watch party of them watching the city council press conference and Packer Transplants. It would be like that time Joe. Remember when Joey did the tailgate?
Yes,
for Packer Transplants.
It was one of the most amazing things ever in the history of the internet.
That was
Joey,
incredible.
who is now a big J journalist. Like he is like legit now. He's like credentials. He's working for Bill Huber. He's like doing all the whole thing.
You think if I said to Joey, like, remember when you threw a tailgate for us? You think he'd think that's cringe now?
Probably. He'd probably be like, I am very serious. I'm a very seasoned veteran journalist at this point in my career.
That? Maybe he's embarrassed by that. I hope he's not.
There's no way he's embarrassed by that more than he's embarrassed by some of his appearances on either the happy hour or the draft streams where he had the H&R Block guy behind him, the cardboard cutout. You remember that? In his basement?
Yeah,
come on. Joey's come a long way. Way. Good times.
He has.
Let's look at this Packers-Jaguars matchup. And, by the way, if I hear one more person say Jaguars, dude, Lafleur said it. A couple of media members said it today. Like, my people, come on now. Join us in the world where things are pronounced correctly. The Packers are 5-2.
It is Wisconsin, bro. You know what happens when you get into the Wisconsin hole. I know, but this is what happens when you get into the Midwest hole.
That's true.
You start to say,
you start to say
Midwest, bag. So you start to say, bagel.
Jaguars.
You start, you know what I'm saying?
What are we doing?
It's such a Midwest. I could have told you that, Sons of Lombardi. I could have told everybody that would be a big boost for the mayor because I know that he has all. By the way, okay, I know Aaron.
Oh boy, here we go.
Dreading talking about this.
Trying to get to the Jaguars
on this very show. On this very show, I literally said on this very show that Mayor is a political animal. He's got all the politicians and everybody in his corner lined up on this. He's not out there on an island. And here we are.
No, because that's smart politics,
you heard it here first.
Right? You don't pick a fight with an 800-pound gorilla without having like your ducks in a row. Like he's done the work. I have no doubt. I have zero doubt. Okay, so Packers-Jaguars. The Packers are 5-2 in this series, including wins in each of the last 3 matchups. That you love to see.
But they sucked a lot worse than they do now, though.
Yes, that is true. Each of the last 6 games.
This is the best they've been.
Okay, easy. No, I don't agree with that. I think they were better the year they came to Lambeau. A couple years, like I think it was during the pandemic.
Really?
They were better that year.
They didn't have as good of a quarterback, though.
Probably not, but they had a better overall team and a definitely better overall running game. But each of the last 6 games between Green Bay and Jacksonville have been decided by single digits, which is kind of crazy to think about. 6 games in a row have been decided by single digits, including back in 2016, my first first game on the beat.
Didn't they have Blake Bortles in the playoffs? Isn't that what?
Yes,
is that the
they were 5 minutes away from the fucking Super Bowl, dude. With
like
Bortles.
Blake Bortles, for the love of God!
Do you know who?
Beat us
do you
with
know
Blake
who the?
Bortles? Did they beat us?
Do you know who the offensive coordinator was in that game for that year when they were almost in the Super Bowl? Nathaniel Hackett. True story.
Oh, I don't believe you.
It's true. 100%. Nathaniel Hackett.
That's crazy.
And then one more year, he got scapegoated, and then he was in Green Bay.
Well, it's funny because, like, he's not a good offensive coordinator.
He did really good work that year with Bortles and that team, but yeah, overall, no.
And I know he had a hard struggle because he had to deal with a head coach and a quarterback in kind of in this middle situation for whatever that is. So he had a hard job, but I just don't.
No doubt.
That offense, it never. Anyway.
Yeah,
I digress.
I hear you. The Packers are favored by 4.5, which is just a weird number. I talked about this with Andy in our preview for the CHTV Nation newsletter. That's a weird number. Like, I want to be favored by 5, 6. Hell, I'll even take 3. Because, like, you give the home team.
But don't they
points.
give the
That's
home
fine.
team 3? Yeah, they gave the home team 3.
Yeah, they're supposed to, right?
They're saying we should win by
4.5. I don't know, man. That's a dark number. I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it. But you should check out Andy and I talking about it on the CHTV Nation newsletter. If you're a subscriber, if you're a diehard member, you will see it in your inbox tomorrow morning. Sign up. People, it's free to sign up to the newsletter. There's a link in the description of this video. Do it. Tons, and I mean tons of Packers content in your inbox twice a week during the season. Get on board, people. Sign up. All right, Corey, you ready?
Yep.
All right, let's hit it.
This week in the Packer blogosphere.
That's right. It's this week in the Packer blogosphere, the return of that venerable series. Now, Packers players, typically, we see them in the locker room videos Packers.com puts out every once in a while. And sometimes people on the beat get some quotes from the locker room. But I love it when guys go on these podcasts that have become more and more prevalent. Former players usually, but just, national stuff. Jaden Reed was recently on Chris Long's Green Light podcast. The whole thing is very much worth checking out here on YouTube. You can find it. Chris asked him about doing the Lambeau leap. I love this. Let's take a look.
I think the first time you sized that thing up in real time,
I really surprised myself. Like, I made it with one jump. Like, I didn't have to lift myself or pull myself up. So, yeah, I was kind of proud of myself, but it's definitely higher than you think, though.
When you come down from there, you smell like beer?
Yes. I got beer poured on me the last time I Lambeau leap was the Colts game when Wick scored.
Yeah.
Got some beer poured on me. Smelled like beer the rest of the game.
It's all good, though. That means you scored.
It's all good. That's a good thing.
I can't get over the way he says, like, yes. Just a simple, do you get beer poured? Yes.
Yes.
Like,
yeah, it was like, yes. He said the word beer, and he said yes, yeah.
Yes, it's like a fact of life. If you do the leap, you're getting beer poured on you. I love it. I absolutely love you. The other thing I love, Corey, is TikTok. There's so much great shit on TikTok about the Packers, about the NFL. Corey, you and I both. What's funny is you sent this to me via TikTok, and I had already seen it, and you were like, we have to play this on Transplants. And I was like, I'm way ahead of you, buddy. Like, this is so great. I cannot tell you. We tried to warn you, Jets fans. Remember Leverage Gate when Jets fans were all like, oh, no, we're going to get Aaron Rodgers. We're going to the Super Bowl. We have a defense. You guys have never had a defense. We're going to add Aaron Rodgers, and it's going to be awesome. We tried to warn you. Roll it.
I wish that the Jets never traded for Aaron Rodgers because what we got It's not what I signed up for. It's not.
You didn't ever need this glimmer of hope.
I never needed expectations like this, and it's just like, it's been so comical and so Jets.
How are they 2-5?
Bro, you're getting ahead of yourself. Go back to last year. Like, we trade for Aaron Rodgers, and yeah, he's old, but he's Aaron Rodgers. And
Four-time MVP, they showed every game.
And we have the defense and the pieces, the young guys, and then he tears his Achilles. And it's like, ha, this is, wow, of course, this is as bad of a thing that could ever happen for the Jets.
He's coming back fast from that Achilles.
He'll come back. He's recovering well. And then he comes back this year, and nothing's wrong. There's nothing wrong with the Jets, except for the fact that we're not good at football, that we make the bad mistakes that bad teams make. And it's, get Devontae Adams. He'll fix it. No, that does nothing. We figured out our contract with Hassan Reddick. Too late. You're 2-5, and the season's gotten away from you. I just wish that we never traded for Aaron Rodgers, and we got rid of Zach Wilson and just accepted sucking for a year so that we could get a young quarterback and like build him up instead of chasing this douchebag, Aaron Rodgers. I'm not done, Jack. He is such a cocky prick who thinks that he alone can lead a team to a title, but there's a reason that you have won fucking Super Bowl. It's because you're not a leader. It's because you don't know how to inspire other people to be better. Mike Williams, yes, he ran a wrong route, but you don't go out to the fucking media and say he ran the wrong route. You own it and say something behind closed doors. I hate Aaron Rodgers.
That was awesome.
That was so much fun.
How we doing, Corey? I mean, what's so funny, there's tons of that on TikTok. The Jets fans just losing their fucking minds.
Here's what's crazy. What's crazy to me is the last 2 weeks. You saw about 2 weeks ago the national media kind of getting this whole wave as soon as he fired the coach, because everyone knows if you fire a coach mid-season, nothing is going to be good out of this. There's nothing good out of that. And also, I'm so fucking sick of 20 to 30-year-old white males in this country, that's typically who I'm fucking talking about, getting in my fucking mentions, talking shit to me for the last 3 years about Aaron Rodgers. And everything I've said about Aaron Rodgers in the last 4 years has basically come to pass because he wasn't a leader here in the later stages of his career. He was bitching about hand signals. He was driving a golf cart. He was putting himself above the team. And as soon as a player does that, they are not good anymore. I'm sorry. They're not. You can only do that for so long before a 53-man roster rebels against you. And we saw that happen here, and we're seeing it happen in New York. And you know what? I am so thankful for the Jets for taking him off of our hands. I'm so happy. Thank you. Thank you.
Do you remember when Romeo Doubs was asked about Jordan Love when they made the trade, and then, Jordan was taking over, and Romeo was like, Jordan can do everything Aaron does. And there were certain parts of Packers fandom that lost their fucking minds. To your point, I don't think the 53-man roster rebelled, but there's a moment where it's like, okay, buddy, what are we doing here? The hand signals thing, all of the stuff you're talking about. It's
how many times did he throw a wide receiver under the bus that didn't run the right route?
Didn't run the right route, or didn't do that,
definitely
or didn't do
did that.
Yes, and he's continuing to do it. And the guy talking about how, he's so arrogant. It's like, we tried to tell you this. We were talking from our souls about it during Leverage Gate when you literally said, you Jets fans, we just need Aaron Rodgers. Just add Aaron Rodgers. Well, guess what? You added Aaron Rodgers. How's that working out for you? I don't know what else to say, man.
I mean,
I don't know what to say.
And I don't want to belabor it, but there is something. If you go back to it, really the turn kind of happened in McCarthy, right? Once he stopped putting up with McCarthy's offense, and he decided he was above the coach, and he was above, and he's going to do his thing. You could see it, and you could just see that he lost what being a leader is. He just lost it.
Yes.
And he's a great quarterback. He's a legend. He will go. It's like no one likes nuance. I get it, but and he's all these things. Guys, the sun is down now, so we
there
can
you go.
See
the sun is down.
But it's just. I mean, it's just crazy. It's crazy.
They'll retire his number, although it should be for Lynn Dickey, but they'll retire his number and he'll go up on the facade, and that'll all happen. He is a legend. He is insanely important to the Packers and their history, and he brought a title back to Titletown. There's no doubt he is an all-time great. But that doesn't mean he wasn't full of shit at the end of his tenure, which he was. That's what drives me nuts. And welcome Jets fans. We tried to tell you. You didn't want to listen. Corey, I will also say, so I got this. You talk about the TikTok algorithm.
I saw this one that we're about to play too. Yeah.
The Jets fans are all in their shit about it. This woman, I don't know who you are, but this came up in my fucking TikTok. I was dying. This is so good. This is Packers fan versus Jets fan, or watching a Jets fan. Just this is very much shorter, and this is perfect. Dude, the freezer bit destroys me every time.
Yeah, that's
like when I first saw it, I legit guffawed out loud. Like it's so good.
It is interesting. There is something in the. There is something. Not to TikTok's not paying me for this, but there is something different about video culture right now. You just see so many more Packer fan video. There's so much more like regular people fan content than there ever was before, which I do. It's kind of like Vine. Vine did that. I remember when Vine came out. We saw a little bit of that.
Vine was good, but this is like Vine on crack, no doubt.
It really is. I mean, people are making. Yeah, it's crazy. It's insane.
Yep, it is insane. No question about it. Talking about insane, how awesome was the moment when the Packers fan in the front row there at Lambeau rejected Mixon as he's trying to do the Lambeau leap into a waiting Texans fan's arms. I believe his name is Chris Salter. Here is his now profile pic on Instagram. Legend. Absolute legend.
And he didn't get kicked out, by the way.
He did not get kicked out.
That was a little bit of a rumor that he got kicked. But I wouldn't put it past 1265 to fail and kick him out. So the reason everyone believed it is because it's the Packers.
That sounds like par for the course. Exactly. 1,000%. Like if you had told me
the Packers don't like
fun.
Out,
I've been like
anything fun.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are people saying on the old YouTube chat?
They did give him a warning, though, to be clear. They gave him a warning. They looked at the tape and they gave him a warning.
Don't be a fan. Like, that's their warning. Like, what are you talking about?
Also, why are you Lambeau leaping in Lambeau? I don't like that.
Thank you!
Dag.
Don't want to be pushed? Don't Lambeau leap. Like, this is not, as an opponent, this is not difficult.
Well, there should also probably be some kind of rule where unless there is more than one, there needs to be at least three fans in order for you to leap into your own fan.
Ocho Cinco
there was
did that
only
years
one
ago.
fan.
He did it into a group
there was
of
only
Bengals
one
fans,
fan.
and that kind of makes sense, right? Yeah.
I think that's allowed. So I feel like
Agreed.
if you try to stop a bunch of fans from doing it, okay, you should get kicked out. But if it's just one or two fans, I think you're within your rights. But we need to. You know what? I think this calls for a Wisconsin state statute. So because we don't want the Packers in charge of these kind of things.
It's so
you know what
good.
I'm saying? I don't think 1265 should be allowed to get into this. I think this should become an antitrust issue. Dag, if Salah join us and we win the Super Bowl, I would pay a lot of money to watch Aaron Rodgers' reaction. Well, Dag, I just want to tell you, Aaron Rodgers had nothing to do.
Corey.
Aaron Rodgers had nothing to do with Robert Salah getting fired.
Nothing to do with it. He was an innocent bystander. As the most famous human playing NFL football right now and the target of a trade for Woody Johnson, Woody called him the night before, did not say anything, did have no input into the coach being fired. Not 0, 1. And then later that week, when asked about it, never ever said I really was against it. These are the facts. Okay. There we go.
Of course. And Dag, thanks for the 2 super chats, but I know one of them said this basically the same thing, but appreciate you hitting us up with that. NA Productions got to update the Rodgers trade comp with Salah.
I'm all in. Yes. Add it
Ryan
to
Willie.
the ledger.
Going to the Lions game, hoping they can accommodate a disabled person who has tickets near the accessible seating area.
They should. They should be able to.
They should, yeah. They should. There's a ton of spots that they have for accessibility sections at Lambeau. Packers, Joe Mailman. Packers have a good kicker and a good punter without drafting either one. Funny how that checks out. Funny how that is.
Oh, interesting, Corey.
Interesting.
That's an interesting moment right there.
I wonder who we could have had instead of not having the person we have that we drafted.
Anders
Dustin
Carlson.
Logan.
Yeah, right.
Hard to think Hafley may not have been the number one choice.
Huh?
For DC? Was he not the number one choice for DC? I thought he was.
He was 100% the number one choice.
Yeah,
I love this.
Maybe...
Okay, this is some revisionist history because there was that moment this offseason, right, where, and like, Salah was not available. So I don't know if this is a Salah thing. Salah was a head coach.
No, it's definitely not Salah.
No, he was not.
Coach, yeah.
But there was the Zach Orr moment where Zach Orr was available and then from the staff in Baltimore and then interviewed. And then conveniently when he stayed in Baltimore to become the defensive coordinator there, I believe it was Aaron Wilson put out a report, quote unquote, that said, he was offered the Packers job, which I didn't believe, and then I was told point blank was completely uncategorically untrue, which I put out there. And people were like, oh, no, they're just trying to cover their tracks. And it's like, whatever. I know they never, ever offered Zach Orr the job. But now you come off that Monday nighter in Tampa Bay where they almost gave the game back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on defense, they being the Ravens. You just go and look at all of the Ravens fans talking about how Zach Orr, he's not it. I've known this from week one. So many Packers fans were in their feelings about the fact that we lost, quote unquote, lost out on Zach Orr. Maybe have a little faith in your coach. I understand he hired Joe Barry. That did not work out pretty well. I get it. But have a little faith, people, that he made the right choice. And by the way, thought pretty outside the box bringing in Jeff Hafley. That's a pretty inspired hire so far. That's all I'll say about that.
I mean, he also was going to hire the idiot from Wisconsin. Remember that? Danny G.
Jim Leonard. Yeah.
Where's he at?
I literally have no idea. I knew he was an assistant somewhere, or he was a consultant, I believe, somewhere last year. I have no idea where he is this year.
For a college
this
team?
year. No, this year
Sounds
I think
about
he's
right.
doing something else. I'm not sure. I'm not up on the college game.
Gotcha.
As you know.
Gotcha. Danny G. Interesting. Matt Lafleur was going to pull you and do this outside of the box thing, offered you a job to be one of the greatest defensive coordinators in Packers history, and you turned him down. So go to hell.
And now you're wandering the wilderness of college football.
Yeah. Danny G, thanks for the super chat. Salah sleeping on Matt LaFleur's couch, sharing traumatic AR-12 stories over a Carry the G and a bra. To be a fly on that crowd.
To be a fly on the wall.
I mean, you got to imagine there's a little bit of that. Maybe a couple.
Although I will say,
it's funny.
Here's the puncture to that bubble, though, is that Matt LaFleur is a wine guy. He's not a beer drinker. So there you go.
Yeah, but they're drinking some nice wine tonight.
They're having some really nice wine.
They're pulling out Matt LaFleur is pulling out he's going into the wine cellar in the basement. And
he's going deep into the collection.
Let's get this dance going. Danny G, can Salah coach special teams?
All right, I get. The Versace
you know what?
Stuff, but,
I would be down with. Here's what we could do, right? We could demote Bisaccia to be the actual special teams coordinator, and then we could hire Salah to be assistant head coach.
Head coach, yeah. I see you. I see
where
you're working there.
You got to make the opening to have the opening.
I don't
mind
what I'm
saying?
it.
I'm down with this.
I don't
I'm down
mind
with
it.
this.
I do not mind it.
Matthew Clark, evening, Nags. Corey, I've been snowed under with work, so apologies for not checking in much. Thanks for everything you do. Much appreciated. Go, Pack, go.
Matthew, completely unacceptable. I want you to eschew work from now on so you can join us every time we're live. Absolutely unacceptable.
Mike Witt, who do you think would be a better coach, Behnke, Nags, or Tyler Herrick? I think Nagler.
Oh, definitely not Tyler. Tyler's way too in his feelings about everything.
Here's the thing. I don't think any of us would be a good head coach, and I don't But I think that I think it would be fun. Like I've met some of the special assistant offensive coordinators that do like the data and stuff. So you're not like a raw guy. You're more like scouting
presenting
and
data,
trying to do
showing
self-scouting and presenting data. I feel like I'm good at presenting data.
You would be very good at that game, no doubt.
Ed, don't know nothing about Green Bay except that the 50-yard line remains the center of an expanding universe. Hopefully, all will be worked out.
There you go, Ed. I like that thing.
Ed,
I like that idea. I like that viewpoint.
It's gonna all get worked out. It's all good.
Yeah, it will.
Matthew Clark, Corey, who is your favorite LS to take over?
Orzbach is back. There's no there's no long snapper opening. They have a
I was gonna say that. I was gonna say when we were talking about news, I was gonna ask you. I was gonna be like, dude, what if they released him from because doesn't he have to go through waivers?
He does.
What if we accidentally put the long snapper, then he gets picked up? We're like, oh shit.
Well, that's what they're doing with Jonathan Ford. What if someone picks up Jonathan Ford? You never know. You're playing with fire.
Yeah, but
it's Taysom Hill all over again.
but long snappers aren't they harder to find?
Yeah, but he hasn't been very good, so he's not going to get picked up.
Yeah, so you're not worried about it.
That's the problem. You're not worried about it.
Rabbit Animal Zoo, might Salah cast a shadow on Hafley? I think Matt
he's working on the offensive side of the ball. Bus, they're really good at what they do. And if you are worried, if you're Jeff Hafley and you're like, oh my God, the coach's best friend is here and he's really good on defense, then you shouldn't be in that job.
Exactly. I don't think he's worried. I think if anything, he's probably trying to get a meeting to talk about.
I was going to say 100%.
What are you seeing that I'm fucking up? What are you seeing that I'm weak on? What am I play calling?
Don't ever forget the other thing is don't forget Hafley was on Salah's staff. They work together in San Francisco. They know each other. Legit, the reason Hafley was on Lafleur's radar is in part because of Salah. There's real trust there and real kind of
it's a web of
history.
Connections. Mike Witt, everybody talking about going out and trading for a pass rusher, but I think our biggest need is a number 2 corner. Stokes is not the same since the injury. I would agree with that, although you have seen Keyshawn Nixon stepping up.
Nixon's really stepped up.
It's pretty good.
I would suggest, Mike, if you have the time, check out my video that I put up yesterday on this very subject. As far as realistic trade targets, I listed a couple there, including corner.
Joe Mailman, Jets need to start winning so Packers can beat them in the Super Bowl, and Salah gets a Super Bowl ring from Packers and Love gets MVP trophy. Adam Shine looking on.
That's amazing.
Oh, Adam Shine.
What
what's funny?
chat.
We haven't heard from the old Adam Shine on Jordan Love recently.
Yeah, because he had to shut the fuck up because he made his apology and then wilted away and said, you know what? I'm going to go be stupid about other subjects. That's what happened. He legit made his little, I was wrong about Jordan Love, and then never talked about it ever again. Oh, yeah.
Dude. He's the most wannabe. Carton is the same way. If nobody would be listening to Carton if Aaron Rodgers wasn't on the Jets, by the way, and that's the only reason he shows up in my feed. But Adam Shine is the most wannabe. What's his name that you love? Your favorite? He's he wants to buy for Colin Cowherd or
Skip Bayless.
What's his name? Skip Bayless. Yeah, it's Adam Shine is he really wants to be Skip Bayless so badly, and he can't. Oh, it's on this side. Get out of here.
It's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen, buddy. Especially when you. Yeah.
Nope.
Mike Witt. On the same day Packers win on a game-winning field goal, Carlson misses an extra point for 49ers. LOL, the football gods are funny sometimes, guys.
What was amazing was Carlson hitting a 55-yard field goal first, and all of Packers Twitter burning to the ground before our eyes. And then he misses the extra point. You got to think somewhere. Brian Gutekunst was like that Oprah meme, what I was telling you.
But don't you think when Brian said he needed to be more patient, he was talking about Anders Carlson?
Yeah.
Don't you think that's who he was talking about?
Yes, 1,000%. Totally agree. But
I feel like he pulled the trigger. I feel like he thinks he pulled the trigger. No, I know, but I feel like he thinks he pulled the trigger too early on that.
Yeah, he's probably right.
Dan Gesford, my feed was lagging because of Virginia backroads, but I'm surprised you don't pronounce Jaguar as Jaguar since your ex is from England. And thanks for everything, guys.
Yeah, well, I'm from Wisconsin, and I'm
Jaguar.
one of the rare folks apparently who says things correctly. Jaguar or Jaguar. What are you all doing out there? Come on.
Jaguar. Uncultured Barbarian.
We're not selling cars
from
here.
From now on, and for the watch party, I'm going to be saying Jaguar. How are the Jaguars?
I'm very excited for this development.
Uncultured Barbarian. All that vitriol from Jersey, and they've only endured him for a little over a year. Should I be enjoying it?
I know, right?
Much?
Like, you don't even get
enjoyable.
the full treatment there, Jets fans.
Well,
Seriously.
to be fair, that was the one thing. Like, if he wouldn't have had his Achilles, maybe we got a trade pick out of it. Would have been nice. Aaron Harper,
nice.
Hey, Jets fan. Laugh, laugh, laugh. What's up, Aaron? Mike Witt, I can see it now. The Jets signed Narv Dog, LOL. If memory serves me right, I think the second-round pick we got from the Jets turned into Jaden Reed, too.
That's so
The second-round pick we got turned
so
into
good.
Jaden Reed? Really?
I can't remember anymore. There's been so many iterations of this.
Did you just say I can't remember?
I can't because they traded down, right? The
trap.
Brian Branch thing is Jaden Reed because they could have had Brian Branch and then they didn't. They traded and then the Lions got Brian Branch instead, and we were all like, like some Packers fans were like, we passed on this great talent, and then they got Jaden Reed. It's like, okay, we got Jaden Reed, and now we have the most amazing safety room in the world. So it all worked out.
The only one I think that Brian the biggest one that Brian missed on is the TJ Watt. Like, if we had TJ Watt
That was
on
Ted.
the team, oh my god.
That's not Brian, that's Ted. That's Ted. That's Kevin King.
Whoever it
That's
was,
Ted
they
Thompson.
failed at life. They failed at life.
Okay. He brought a title back to Titletown, the most recent one, by the way.
Yeah, thanks, Mike Holmgren. Dan Gesford, thanks for Super Chat. Actually, thanks, Bob Harlan, by the way, for all that.
Bob
Dan
Harlan,
Gesford.
eternal thanks.
Jets got what they wanted. Long live Salah.
Amen
Sons of
to that.
Lombardi. Wanted to give my dad, Dennis Towle Jr., a shout-out.
Dennis, saw him on the happy hour last night. Thanks, brother. Appreciate
Sorry,
Dennis
I missed the happy
always.
hour, guys. Sorry, I had to go to
You're
the
a busy,
Green
you're a busy
Bay.
guy.
No, you know where I was? I had to go to the I was actually at 1265 in the Lambeau Legends room for the Green Bay Community Charitable Foundation, which it does a lot. They work with the Packers Give Back charity program, which is actually really cool, and the Green Bay Give Back program. It's really cool. So sorry I missed happy hour. Porkmaster, if you were the Saints, would you rather suck for the next couple years or the next decade? Any NFC team choosing to suck is great. I don't get it.
Yeah, the Saints are so weird because they keep having to extend guys where you probably be better served letting them walk out the door, most recent being Alvin Kamara. But they're in such cap hell that they just keep restructuring contracts and kicking the can. It's the only way they know how to operate. So, yeah, the Saints are crazy, man. Trade for Chase Young. That's what I'm saying. Get the Packers on the phone. Let's make that happen.
JP.
Or Marshawn
Belichick
Lattimore, either one.
Belichick and McAfee talked about punting for 15 minutes during his show appearance this week. Thought about how much Behnke would hate that combo. I mean, but if you're watching Pat McAfee's show, he was a punter, so like...
I was just going to say, you're talking to a punter who did it at an insanely high level and is one of a really good punter, and you're talking to a coach who was one of the best, if not the best, in the modern era to ever do it. I got no problem with that. I could probably listen to Bill Belichick talk about long snapping for 15 minutes. I'm down with that.
Well, I was going to say, if you had your choice of defensive offensive consultants, so DOCs,
right. Yep,
would you choose Robert Saleh or Bill Belichick?
Oh, god damn, that's tough. That's tough.
It's hard.
You know what?
Right? I was thinking
honestly,
about that. I was like, man, why didn't
probably Robert Saleh just because he's more
because
up
he's
on the
modern
game,
more modern. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Bill Belichick has forgotten
but, like,
more than
Bill knows where
99.9% of the human race has ever
shit.
known about football. Right? Like, there's zero doubt about that. But Saleh's done it, man. He's got the pelts on the wall in the modern game in a way that Bill is still very good, but probably doesn't.
Daniel Dunker. Salah was just hired to help offensive scheme and defensive by Packers. Just reported from Green Bay Packers News. Daniel.
Thanks, buddy. We talked about it at the top of the show.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks, Daniel, though. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Mike
Daniel.
Witt. Jim Leonard is the DB coach for Broncos, guys. Oh, my
there
God.
we go.
I
See, he's back in the
I
NFL,
can't believe
Corey.
I didn't
He's
know
back in
that.
the NFL. I can't believe
Wow,
we missed out
DB
on the
coach.
defensive backs coach for the Broncos.
Wow.
We will never be the same,
I'm so
Corey.
mad. I'm so upset. Marshall Duke, which was the biggest meltdown? Brady when Rodgers sealed the game in 2014, Ty Schmidt when Jordan Love was drafted, or Corey when we drafted a kicker?
I don't think Corey was not. I don't remember you
I'm gonna
melting
add one
down.
more.
I remember
I'm gonna
you
add
being
one
mad,
more.
but I don't remember that.
The time when I was the most mad was when Conups got a 1-star rating on Yelp.
There's zero doubt. Like that would beat all of this. Like not even close.
That beats everything
Not
on this.
even
But then
close.
otherwise, in what you gave me, I think I don't know, Ty Schmidt. Oh, Ty actually apologized to Jordan Love right on air. He said he was like apologize. He said not apologize.
It's
but
so
was
funny.
Like, I was
There's
wrong
a
or
whole
whatever. It's
like
pretty cool.
Jordan Love apology tour that needs to be spliced together online from all these folks saying whether it's Tom Grossi, whether it's Ty Schmidt, Bill Michaels, all these folks talking about how they were anti-Jordan Love and now they're all in on Jordan Love. Interesting.
Also, you know what's fun? While we're on this subject, I have a text from that I went back and forth. I remember, I think last year, I think we'd lost like 3 in a row. Did we lose 3 in a row?
Oh, yeah.
When we were in our slump?
Dude, we were 2-5 last year.
Yeah, we were 2-5.
Don't ever forget
Literally, we're 2-5. And Grossi put on Twitter something about how we're just not very good. And I like for some reason like took that personally because you know how I am, and I literally text him. I text him about it. He's like, "Well, we're not," and then we went on a run, and I'm like, "Well, clearly
we did go on a run, yes, sir."
Mr. Englewood 77, shout out to the dynamic duo of Packers content. Who's that? Pax what she said.
He's not talking about us. Pax what she said. Definitely a shout out to Pax what she said. No question.
Grossi does need a sidekick. I'm going to be honest with you. Go Pack.
By the way,
is Evan?
Wait, we need to have Pax what she said on Packer Transplants. We need to make that happen. We were talking about it at the start of the year, and then it never happened. We need to have that happen at some point this season.
Go Pack. Is Evan playing better than Bullard?
Overall, I'd say yes. Although I think there's been, somewhat matchup dependent rotations as far as like we want Bullard out there for these certain types of situations and plays and matchups, etc. But yeah, I think Evan Williams has shown repeatedly now the last 2 or 3 weeks that hard to take him off the field. He's playing at a damn high level, no doubt.
Mike Witt, Corey, the weapon still punts for Chargers too, LOL. I mean,
correct.
Mike, this checks out. Everyone takes our sloppy seconds. That's just what happens. They're like, oh, you played for the Packers? All right, we'll try you out.
We'll take you.
We'll work
Sounds good to me.
Daniel, especially if you're an NFC North team. Let's be real.
Oh, yeah.
Daniel Dunker, Love has better numbers than Mahomes so far this year. Also, did you hear, Nagler? Did you hear that interceptions are the new? I saw this on our favorite podcast that just mentioned us.
Pardon my take.
Pardon my take. Why can't I remember the name of that song?
I don't know.
Pardon my take said they had a whole argument this morning about that interceptions are
hot
new,
now.
They're hot now.
Yep.
That's what you're supposed to do. So there you go.
I'm with you. PFT. I'm in on it. Let's go.
I still want to see Malik Willis get something out of this. I still want to see Malik Willis get like a snap or something. Just here for
you want a package? You want a Malik Willis package? Is that what you're talking about?
Pony package.
You want a
jumbo?
You want a pony package at quarterback?
I want to hear jumbo, and then you got Malik Willis in the slot for no reason
and Jordan
whatsoever.
Love. That's amazing.
Jordan Love snap
jumbo,
and it's called it would be great.
It's so good.
Here for
we
it.
are so off
just
the
to be weird. It's just misdirection from hell.
Just
you know
to be
what I mean?
weird.
And then it's a
Let me text,
and then it's a
I'm gonna
Jaden
text
Reed
Lafleur
end
about this real
around.
quick.
And then it's a Jaden Reed end around.
Right. No,
Malik
make
Willis
it real
in the slot
weird.
for a Jaden Reed end around.
Then then it's a Ben Sims end around. We're going weird. We're going all the way. Going all the way.
For sure. For sure. That's all we got here on the Super Chat. Thanks, everybody, for the support.
Thank you,
Cheesehead
everyone.
TV on the Super Chat. Appreciate it.
Speaking of support, Cheesehead TV Patreon members, Carry the G Club members here on YouTube, don't forget, next month, we have the Cheesehead TV meetup coming up. Cannot thank you Patreon members enough. The information for the meetup is on your respective pages, either Patreon or Carry the G Club here on YouTube. We really appreciate your support on Patreon, on Carry the G Club here on YouTube. You guys absolutely make this thing go. The whole brand is beholden to all of you. Cannot thank you enough. The meetup is always a good time. We're back at Lambeau Field this season. That was a lot of fun the first year we did it. And then the Packers were like, oh, no, we don't want any events the night before a game. But now they're back to allowing things to happen at Lambeau. We're at Lambeau the night before the 49ers game. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Nice.
Patreon members, Carry the G Club members. Cannot wait to see you all. Corey, you got anything else for us before we head out?
6-2. Let's do it.
Let's go. That'll do it for this episode of Packer Transplants. We'd like to thank everyone who makes Cheesehead TV part of their daily Packers routine. We are and will always be devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide.
I think it's a fluid situation, and I know you guys love it, especially Nagler. I can see you smirking at me right there. We're going to take it one day at a time, and it's going to be fluid, though. That's all I can tell you.